Always forget to hit the unmute button. Brutal. Welcome in. My name is Bryce Kuhn to the Crowder Booth here on a Tuesday evening. We are live on YouTube. We're live on X, but it's finicky. We love StreamYard. Some issues with our friends over. Someone call Elon. We're talking college football here on a Tuesday night. We are ranking the SEC quarterbacks. This episode, as always, as all of them are, presented by FanDuel. We will have a pick at the end of it that you can pick on Wednesday night. And we'll be live tomorrow night to watch it unfold in real time. Will providing the pick of the day. FanDuel sponsoring all of our episodes here. And this is SEC quarterback rankings on this episode of the Crowder Booth.
Pile in here and make yourself feel at home. Coming on the Crowded Booth with Bryce Kuhn.
Welcome in, fellas. Brutal, just brutal. Will, what you laughing at?
The name of Gavin's graphic down there.
Oh God, what is it? Let me see.
You don't see it.
There you go. I like it. We'll obviously have our FanDuel pick of the night, and we can find that on all the social platforms as well. Shout out FanDuel for sponsoring the Crowder Booth in all of 2026. Fellas, we last spoke. We went through our conference head coaching rankings in the ACC and the SEC. This week, we're staying at the conference level with quarterback and in both the SEC tonight, the ACC tomorrow. The ACC, Ralph will not be here, and he's probably glad about that because it is an absolute jumbled mess in the ACC of determining who is
after the top three. It's like just plummets.
Yeah, it's wild. There's a lot of unproven commodities within that conference. So that being said, we welcome you in. Like, subscribe on all those platforms. Continue to follow us there as well. Fellas, what was on the dinner menu for tonight in under 15 seconds? Ralph, go.
Spaghetti.
There you go. Will?
Turkey sandwich / nothing.
A turkey sandwich. We mean / nothing.
Had a turkey sandwich and then went to the gym. So I could eat again, but maybe not. Might not.
That late night Taco Bell call is
definitely not.
It's coming.
It's not.
I had 5 strawberries. That's what I ate. Very good.
Gavin just had lunch, so
Gavin is making. I like people who don't see this, but Gavin will just do anything and everything in the background of the show, including just cook, just straight up cook. He just takes his laptop.
Yeah, Gavin's just in the kitchen cooking right now. We should show
He is. We are going to be talking here tonight about the quarterback rankings within the conferences. A lot of turnover in the SEC, some new faces, some familiar faces that have switched teams, and really a lot of stuff, I think, in terms of this conference with what you have is the situations. And that's something we'll be talking about tonight. You know, who will benefit from the situation, who benefits from continuity with what they have around them. So that's obviously really, really big. It's huge in terms of that. So we will dive into our rankings. We will pick 2 topics each, and then we'll answer some questions at the back end about some of the newcomers. And we'll have Will's annual segment where he just gives a tiny bit of hope into the Auburn football program, which, it's funny because we had some naysayers last year tell us, well, I think what's funny about it is last year, Will and I never hyped up Jackson Arnold. We simply gave people fodder and conversation points that say, hey, it could be fun to watch. And that was realistic, right? Like there were things that could have been fun to watch about Jackson Arnold. Joey asked, where is Jackson Darnold? Not Darnold, Arnold. And I think as we kind of sit here with, what is it, under 200 days now? Under 200 days till college football starts? Kind of nerve-wracking to think about what Auburn's quarterback situation would look like if Alex Golesh was not the head coach. Is that true, Will? Would you be more nervous if Golesh wasn't the head coach? What the quarterback room would look like?
Depends on who the head coach would be.
If it had been John Summerall?
Or just Durkin.
It would have just been Durkin. Yeah.
It'd been Deuce Knight, probably.
I don't know.
I thought Deuce Knight would have stayed. I think he would have stayed and been quarterback.
Well, he's probably wishing he stayed about now.
He'd be the prime backup and be the starter next year. I mean, as of right now, of course.
It's all right.
It'd be interesting to see.
Yeah, I think it depends on who the head coach would be,
who they brought in,
what the coordinator is. It would be totally different. I mean, if Hugh Freeze wasn't fired and rolled it back, yeah, I mean, we're talking this dude gets like 2 games.
If that.
Yeah, if that.
You lose to Baylor week 1 by more than 20 points. I mean, it probably wouldn't make it out of Atlanta. They just put him in there, leave him at the airport to say, hey, you're just go somewhere else.
Well, it's also that. I think you talk about who the coach would have been. Man, this is wishful thinking too. If John Summerall would have been the head coach at Auburn, could you have somehow – there's no shot Darian Menza would have came to Auburn, right?
No.
Probably not.
Auburn would have Aaron Philo, per sources.
Auburn would have Aaron Philo. That is true.
Per sources.
Texas, the best baseball team.
And I would have liked that.
Is playing. What are we doing with this timing? We appreciate you, Zach. The last I checked, there's no reason you should be watching that game because what is happening in Statesboro is an absolute shellacking.
I don't know what you're talking about. The St. Luke Lions are not playing right now.
Yeah, it's Golesh better than John. Mark my words, Joey.
Who's John?
Yeah, who's John? You spelled his name wrong, bud.
Jon. Jon is what they're going for. All right, let's lock it in. Let's talk about our rankings. Big Von Lackey fan. Von Lackey's nasty. I just want the record to show, by the way. I know we don't – if I had the bandwidth, I would probably just do a college baseball show because I think it's awesome. But Ralph would have been depressed this weekend.
I'm going to be depressed tonight, too.
Eat it, Ralph.
Oh, I know.
Bear down.
Did I not say they would probably lose 1 or 2 to you?
They lost 2. But Troy did shellac Mercer on Saturday night.
They also did outscore them the entire weekend, still lost 3.
I haven't seen the score tonight, but coming in tonight, your Auburn Tigers were 3-0.
They were.
Coming in tonight, Troy's getting shipped out of what was it? What's Mississippi State Stadium called? I almost said Davis Wade.
I can't. If you wouldn't have asked me, I can see it. But they getting killed.
Duty
Noble.
Yeah, they're getting absolutely. They were getting beat 7-1 in the third inning. I'm pretty sure.
Well, Mississippi State's very, very good.
Well, I see. You know what? Hey, we didn't get shut out. That's all that matters.
There you go.
Auburn is currently trailing to the hated Cincinnati Bearcats 2-0 in the bottom of the 5th.
Hated.
Yeah,
Cincinnati.
The fighting. It's the Battle of Tommy Tuberville.
Oh, this is true. Although even if Cincinnati wins, they can't have Tommy Tuberville.
Hey, a
You're talking
PSA.
about the governor of Alabama, so Cincinnati can't have him.
A PSA, by the way. Do not freak out over midweek games. Midweek game,
Please don't.
and I love some midweek baseball, but don't. It's developmental
thing.
Opportunities for guys.
I think it's the funniest thing because 90% of the teams that play on midweek games do not throw their best pitching.
No, you don't even throw in. I mean, you don't really. Throw
there's a guy who tweeted out talking about Troy throwing their ace tonight, and I was like, nope, he's not pitching tonight. It's the transfer from Kansas State. He's not the ace, but he's really good. He didn't dare do well tonight, but.
Auburn says, "What about Sunday's game against Wright State? I believe Georgia played a doubleheader on Saturday. Yeah, people keep thinking this is like a gotcha that they beat Georgia on a Sunday. Like Wright State's a really good baseball team.
Very good.
5 out of the last 6 years they've been in the NCAA tournament. Very, very good baseball team. And baseball's
great.
crazy.
Also, just try to win 2 out of 3. Just win the series.
Hey, ESPN, let's do better coverage on college baseball, please. For one, that's one thing that should be said.
We don't talk about them. I can't say on the air what I call them off the air, but let's not talk about
Well, people are familiar with your affiliations, so they know. They throw like 11 pitchers in a midweek game. No, midweek games are amazing. I remember, and we'll get back to the regular scheduled programming here. I remember the 2 best games that I've ever watched was a midweek game against Nichols last year. And it was just LSU lost, and the sky was falling.
There's only 2 midweek games in 2026 that matter, and that's
Georgia Tech,
the Auburn Georgia Tech games.
Yeah, those are great games. Those really have been very, very good games.
I will say when I was at
2
Georgia,
preseason top 10 teams,
we played Alabama at home and beat them on a walk off. It was one of the best days. So, a long time we ever beat Alabama in baseball though.
Bodley says he can't view on YouTube. Well, yeah, we can see it. All right, let's lock it in. Let's go. Let's roll. College football is year-round, and we're lucky to talk about it here on the airwaves. So let's rock and roll with a big one right here, fellas. Number 1 on the board. Let's talk about my quarterback rankings. A couple things I want to point out and talk about here. The 2 things that I have. Sam Levitt's very high for me. Don't worry, paycheck's not coming in. He's at number 2. And I think that with what you have to see here, that's crazy. That's absolutely nuts. I still don't think Ralph has seen it. So there we go. Austin says, where is Pavia? I want to vomit. Now, something we have to say about our rankings here, okay? None of our rankings have Joey Aguilar play. That is just the current expectation. If he were to get this, for me, Joey Aguilar would probably slot around 8 or 9 or something like that. That's just my take on it. But with what we have here, my 2 takeaways from my rankings. Sam Levitt healthy in the LSU offense under Lane Kiffin and Charlie Weiss Jr., I think is going to be elite. I think it's going to be very, very good at what they do. He's great in the RPO scheme. He's athletic enough to be able to make some plays. A stark contrast to what they had the past 2 years at the quarterback position in terms of the way he can move in and around the pocket. And they brought in some receivers, although the receiver position in a Lane Kiffin offense doesn't have to be elite because of how they scheme things up. They've got some guys that I'm really excited about to watch this year in Death Valley. So I am very intrigued about Sam Levitt. I think the situation elevates him above Arch and Gunnar, and Arch has some serious weapons around him. Outside of that, kind of something I'm interested to watch here. Austin Simmons is at 10 for me. I wanted to put him at 9, but I'm very intrigued to see what he does because obviously, guys, remember he got hurt last year and then Trinidad just kind of took off with what he was doing. When Simmons gets back, you ride the hot hand. Simmons, to me, feels like a guy who could rise up this list at a place that's not in the limelight as much, has had some solid quarterback play over the past 4 to 5 years, and has been able to have a pretty nice floor for what they want to do on offense. And obviously, too, when you have Ahmad Hardy in the backfield, that's going to help you as well. So I think Simmons, to me, I've got him at 10. What could totally be talked into seeing, or could totally see him as a candidate to rise up this list if we revisit this after the end of the year. So that, to me, with what we've got going there is interesting. So Austin Simmons for me, and then on the Sam Levitt. So those are my two. All of our rankings are different, in fact, and I'm interested to see kind of the quarterback battles. Austin Mack, the one in Tuscaloosa,
Keelan Russell.
Keelan Russell may have a little more upside. We'll see here. It's interesting to me. I think there's a lot of untapped potential, especially, man, when you go 3 through 8. That's a very intriguing group to me. Of like, some guys could absolutely bottom out, and then some guys have a lot to prove in 3 through 8. Like, you could see some guys rise and they can do some things. So that's my 3. Let's move on to the next one. I like how Gavin put that one for me. And now for Will's, he just puts the Chick-fil-A Peach kickoff game MVP. I don't know if he was MVP of that game. Anyways, they played Virginia Tech.
I was about to say, what are you talking about?
Yeah, the picture I meant. Yeah, the picture.
So remind me,
2 things, I guess. Go ahead.
We're doing newcomer and most approved?
No. That's something we'll talk about after. Just 2 things that you feel like you want to talk about your rankings.
Okay. Well, I'll go ahead and say it because I don't want anybody else to say it. Byron Brown at number 6 honestly should be higher based off of resume and what he's accomplished. He is one of just 12 players in the history of college football to throw for 3,000 yards in a season and rush for 1,000. You can say, well, he did that in the American. Well, okay, if it's so easy, then why aren't guys doing it every year? It's only happened 12 times in the 100 and we're in 55 years, 56 years of college football. Only 12 quarterbacks have done that. Honestly, Auburn is going to go with Byron Brown this year. But however Byron Brown does is how Auburn's going to do, at least on the offensive side of the ball, which hopefully for me will be a nice change of pace from the last couple of years of anemic offenses. I have Aaron Philo at 7. I guess that's where I'll go. And it's really for me kind of familiarity, what he's going to do at Florida. Buster Faulkner, the offensive coordinator at Florida, the relationship that those two have, Philo knowing Buster Faulkner, knowing what he's going to want to do. Look, we haven't talked about this much, and we'll talk about it more as we go along this offseason. This Florida offense is going to look probably nothing like the Georgia Tech offense has looked the last few years under Buster Faulkner for a number of reasons. Aaron Philo is one of those. A lot of untapped potential, big arm. We've seen that in the limited action that he got at Georgia Tech, but he's got a big arm, electric arm, can do a lot of things. I think year one for Philo, Faulkner, and Summerall at Florida, they're going to try to keep things simple. Knowing the history of John Summerall, he's a guy that he wants to run the football and play defense and win games. That should help out a young quarterback like Philo that hasn't played a lot, that's in a new place, that's on a bigger stage than where he was. I think a lot of upside there. I think the guys underneath him, outside of John Mateer, who I just think is got to be one of the most overrated quarterbacks that I've seen in a very long time. A lot of the other guys just haven't shown me enough. And Philo's kind of in that group too. Lenore Sellers, he had a great year 2 years ago. Not to keep going down my list, but just to throw this in there. This is Lenore Sellers right here. If you know the clip from Inside the NBA, he got his coach fired. He got 2 offense coordinators fired. He picked one of them, got him fired after a year. So 3 years, 3 different offense coordinators. We'll see what that looks like. I think a lot of question marks as far as quarterbacks go in the SEC, especially outside of that top 4. And then outside of South Carolina and Oklahoma, you're really looking at a new guy at the quarterback position.
Yeah. I think the conversation with Philo, we can talk about this after. I think how quickly can he get comfortable? Being the starter, being the guy in a totally different atmosphere than he's used to. I think that's going to be the biggest thing with Philo. Extremely talented, has a lot of talent, won some games for Georgia Tech. over the past couple of years, was a big part of their success in that 2024 season. Really didn't get a lot of run, if any, this past year outside of the FCS game, I think in week 2. So it will be interesting to kind of see how he assimilates there. So that's interesting. Also, too, I will ask this: the John Mateer, and we'll talk about this in the back half. The only thing with John Mateer, I wonder, is if you can bottle up Mateer in that Michigan game. It was high risk, high reward. Like, he made some ridiculous throws that you're like, you probably don't want to do that throwing off platform that he completed. And then he breaks the thumb, never really looked like any version of the early season guy that we saw in spurts. So it's like, what
he broke his
I think he's a question
right?
mark. It's like, okay, if you can rein it in a little bit, and he's just maybe bottom line, he's just a gunslinger you're gonna have to live with mistakes. I wonder how much mentally he pressed, knowing that injury was like kind of crazy. And what was the whole thing that I remember? It was like an Oklahoma message board. Like, someone said a doctor at a Chipotle told him that he was going to play again or something nuts like that during the middle of the season. That was crazy.
I don't know. But, I mean, just there was so much hype around him. I mean, people were wanting to give him the Heisman Trophy when he went into the transfer portal. And then he was really lackluster. And the injury was to his non-throwing hand, which, I mean, I know it can affect it, but I don't know. I'm not a doctor, but I was just very underwhelmed by Mateer, and I just don't know that he's very good.
I like that we all have George McIntyre 16, I think, and it's like, where would Aguilar be for you? I guess we'll ask that. Or what'd you say, Ralph?
He may or may not be a quarterback next year or this year for him.
That's true.
I mean, there's an option of a true freshman coming in. There's the option of Aguilar getting to come back in their year. No one knows really.
Where would Aguilar be for you, Will? Like, if he was playing, like if we knew it right now.
I really like Joey Aguilar, so he would be up there. I'd probably have him at 8. Maybe no, I'd have him at 7. I'd put him at 7. And then the rest of the order would stay the same. I really like Joey Aguilar. I think he was I thought he was a pretty good fit in the offense. I think Heupel did a really nice job with him, especially all the circumstances coming around it. And, with the way that Heupel has started running the football, at least in 2024 and 2025, was really good for Aguilar. And just I thought Heupel did a really nice job, and I think Aguilar is a more than serviceable quarterback.
I like it. All right, the final one on the board, and Ralph gets the honor of putting Winadad on his graphic. So, Ralph, two things that you feel like maybe we hadn't touched on yet, but just in terms of your rankings that you feel passionate about.
I just want to say one thing about Jared Curtis. Obviously, he's one of the top quarterbacks coming into this class, but you're entering a program that just had Diego Pavia ball out for the last 2 years, and you're stepping into a huge role. I know it's not like you're stepping into Alabama or Georgia, the next starting quarterback, but you're stepping into a role where a quarterback just brought life back into a program. And it's a huge step for a true freshman, a guy who's from Nashville, presuming he will be the starter. I mean, I don't see how much money I spent for him to get there, but I'm sure it's enough for him to be a starter this year. But I have Keelan Russell. I mean, Alabama loves this kid. I think Austin Mack's done a great job in his time as a backup, and obviously played decent in his role against Indiana. I mean, what can you expect a guy to kind of step in there and try and play well enough to win? Try and help the team get close to winning the game. But obviously, they're so far behind. But Austin Mack looked like he threw the ball pretty well. But going forward, I feel like Keelan Russell's their guy. I'll talk about a bunch of Bama fans. They love this kid. They're there to see him play next year. So,
thoughts, Eddie? What do you want to say? You say hey. You sharing your night? Good night. Anyways, no, I think Ralph, your point on Keelan Russell is like good night. Yeah, I didn't realize how big Austin Mack was till he played in that Rose Bowl game. And we're like,
Big guy.
holy cow, that's
And they have another quarterback in that room. I think it's a walk-on. He's like 6'7", I
It's
think.
ridiculous.
And I'm not trying to be the number there, but he actually is. Like, I had friends who went to the Oklahoma game. They said, "Who's this other guy standing on the sideline warming up?" They didn't know who it was. They had to look him up on the pamphlet and said, "This kid's massive. Why is he not playing something else besides quarterback?"
He was massive. I think it's one of those things with
Russell gives
Alabama,
you a little
you
more
gotta see who's
edge.
gonna win the job.
His dual threat. I mean, he's going to be a pretty solid quarterback. Obviously, your only tape on Russell is the 2 or 3 passes he threw this year, and then his high school tape. Obviously, that only goes so far. But DeBoer's done this for a long time. He's won a lot of places. He continues to win. His quarterback play. I mean, ties him some one and done guy at Alabama, which really kind of shocked me. I did not think he'd go one and done, but he got to go.
Especially with the money he was getting offered.
Oh yeah, I mean, apparently, what did they say? Tennessee offered him like $4 million something.
Miami offered him like 6.5.
That's crazy.
That's nuts.
Whatever grade he got for the draft wise is good enough for him. Props to the kid. He had a solid year. Got him to the playoffs, second round, and you met the buzzsaw of Indiana. Yeah. But I have Keelan Russell, but it's probably gonna be a Mac at the beginning of the year. I would not be surprised if Keelan Russell got a chance to start in the season though for him.
I like it. All right, let's roll into some of the topics of conversation based off of the SEC quarterbacks here in 2026. We kind of touched on this. I talked a little bit about Leavitt. Will, you mentioned Byron Brown a little bit. And Ralph, you mentioned a couple of guys too. Newcomer that you're just most intrigued to watch, maybe the most impressive newcomer that you want to watch how they fit. So, Will, I'll let you go first because I know kind of where you're going to go with this. The marriage of Golish and Byron Brown for 1 year in Auburn should not only help that duo, but really should help kickstart Auburn's, I guess, the Auburn era under the Golish era in Auburn.
Yeah, I mean, it's Byron Brown for me. I mean, that's not a question. And I think you're exactly right. I mean, this is a huge opportunity for Golish to get established, get his offense established. Joel Gordon, his offense coordinator, to get established at Auburn, get established in the SEC, and bring in a lot of USF guys, a lot of wide receivers. So there shouldn't be too much of a transition. Now, Alex Golish did ask people to pray for the offensive line. He did say that in a press conference, which, of course, makes me want to vomit because I'm sick of just offensive lines that can't play. But if Brown has a big year and leads this offense to having a really good year, that's just going to really boost the trajectory of the Alex Golish era at Auburn, and really get it off to a good start. So, I mean, it's really imperative for Brown to have a good year to really help Auburn, not just in 2026, but 2027 and beyond. Like I said, he is a one-and-done guy. So I think 2026 for Auburn with Byron Brown is the year to make headlines offensively, where Auburn has been so bad on that side of the ball for the last 6-7 years. Ooh, you can tell I hang out with middle schoolers a lot. Gavin, you can clip that.
What do you mean by that?
Auburn's got to make headlines offensively, and I think they've got the right quarterback to do that. Byron Brown.
Zach wants to know how many years. I don't want any context other than just the soundbite of Will going, ooh. That's all I wanted. That's all I want on there. No, I mean, look, when it comes to Byron Brown, I mean, it's a lot of the conversation. Truthfully, no, Will, you said you're not really fan of him. But whatever the hype was coming in for John Mateer and his offensive coordinator in Norman last year, we should see the same type of hype, right? Because Alex Golish is a really good offensive mind. He is a guy that has had success at a rapid pace with what he's been in Tampa, dating back to his days in Knoxville as well. And you add in a guy that, look, we watched a lot of Byron Brown in the beginning of the season, right? Everyone remembers the Florida game, the way that he just kind of took over there early in the season for South Florida. They did struggle against some teams in the American down the stretch. But I think one of the biggest things is when you see what he can do from a playmaking perspective, right? That's, to me, what Auburn fans have to be excited about, because it's not just the comfortability aspect. He can extend plays and go make a play. And look, that's something they haven't had in the last two guys. For me, it's one of the things they just haven't had. They have not had the ability to go make plays when things break down, whether it's decision making, whether it's the internal mental clock of things like that. Brown's going to have that, and you don't have to worry about him being comfortable in the system. That's one thing why Mateer had the hype coming in, because you know what's happening. And I think that could matriculate and go all the way down to the rest of the offense of knowing, hey, the head guy knows what's going on. Our quarterback leader knows what's going on. And truthfully, I don't know how many players came over, the exact number from South Florida on that offense, but you're going to have several guys that have played and understand what they're doing. And Auburn also has some veterans returning as well.
Yeah, it'll be fun. We'll get Nimrod sighting every Saturday on the Plains.
There you go. No Nimrod sighting. I like it. All right, Ralph, who do you have? What's the newcomer that you're just looking at and you're like, hey, this could be really, really fun to watch?
Can I consider Austin Simmons my newcomer?
Yeah, new place, new face,
Yeah.
a new place.
New place, new system. Chip Lindsey's his OC now.
Are you prepared to talk about that?
I'm just not mentioning further besides that he's his OC.
Okay.
I don't think Austin Simmons is a bad quarterback. I think his time at Ole Miss was short lived, and obviously just got beat out by a better quarterback at the time who made plays, helped the winning game. The kid was supposed to start in the first place. Lane Kiffin chose him from the first place. He's a good quarterback. I think what happened sucks, but overall I think it's better for him going to get to a new system and new place, new coaching staff, and everything. Just kind of help develop him more. I think he'll be turning into a better player this year. Obviously, Missouri's got some guys there who can help him out. Ahmad Hardy, obviously, a running back going forward. And I just think Missouri's a good place for him to win. They're going to they brought in Caden Lee, I'm pretty sure. Isn't that where he landed at?
Yes, brought in Caden Lee. A couple of the
Caden
guys.
Lee, a receiver he's used to throwing to. I mean, you got someone who can help him out going forward. Simmons, I feel like is an overlooked one, just because he's really not a newcomer in the SEC, but a newcomer to a new school. But I mean, I kind of agree with Will though about Byron Brown. I'm excited to watch what he's going to do in the Plains this year.
Simmons is interesting to me because, like you mentioned, it was just an opportunity, like just the hot hand. I mean, he gets hurt wrong time.
I never saw anyone talk bad about Simmons when he got benched for Trinidad. I mean, especially I saw a lot of tweets like during the season, like the guy never gave up on his team. He always celebrating with Trinidad. They were best friends. They always hung out. Like that's the kind of quarterback room you want to have at all times.
You probably know where I'm going with this.
That's why I let him out.
I think Sam Leavitt is the guy that I'm excited to watch, and I hinted at this, and he's the reason I've got him number 2, because I just think a healthy Sam Leavitt and what Lane Kiffin and Charlie Weiss Jr. want to do, I think it could be borderline one of the best offensive attacks in the country. Like, I think it has that opportunity. And look, when you're talking about a group that needs to be kickstarted, it's the LSU offense. It's the reason they went out and got Lane Kiffin. They went and brought in Charlie Weiss Jr. They brought in Kevin Smith to coach running backs. They return a lot of weapons around them that they needed. Harlem Berry is back. Caden Durham is back. They brought in a plethora of running backs. They brought in legitimately like 17 wide receivers. You have Trades Green, who's an absolute mismatch in terms of anywhere you want to put him on the field. And offensive line was going to be the biggest question coming into 2026. And you went out and you got arguably the best player in the portal and the best available tackle in the portal in Jordan Seaton to solidify your left side on that 1-year deal. You made some changes. You brought in a different offensive line coach to be able to do some different things. So if Sam Leavitt is healthy, and all the kind of reports indicate, and just even talking with some people, going to be limited in spring ball, going to get out there for summer workouts, be able to work out with the guys, and then fall camp you're able to ramp up and go. It really parlays for this offense, I think, in a good way, because you're going to have Houston Longstreet be able to take first-team snaps in the spring so that he has that under his belt. But Sam Leavitt, it's about getting healthy. And if Leavitt can get healthy, the way his athleticism allows him to make decisions on the fly is something that I think is going to be very, very good in an offense for LSU. With what Charlie Weiss Jr. wants to do, with what Lane Kiffin predicates himself on doing as an offense, it fits the mold. This was always probably the best fit. They struck out on not Baron Morton. They struck out on the young man from Cincinnati, Brennan Sorsby, who went to Texas Tech to replace Baron Morton. And then obviously they have to go down to the wire to go get Sam Leavitt. So Leavitt being the guy for LSU this year, it wouldn't surprise me if he's the best quarterback in the SEC by the year's end, because I think he's going to be able to put up some numbers. They're going to scheme things open. The biggest thing about the fit is it might not be that Sam Leavitt's the most naturally talented quarterback in the country. I don't think he is, but I think he's not far off. But with how they scheme things open, with their knowledge of the game, there's going to be games for LSU this year offensively. They're going to be able to play pitch and catch and run some teams off the field. So I really kind of like what Leavitt's tool set. I like his skill set, and I think that it could be really, really exciting to kind of watch him in Death Valley this year, and they'll be playing Clemson there in week number 1. Quite the test for Allen.
Just don't let him play basketball at the rec center.
Don't. Zach, Jeff Sims. Shout out Jeff Sims, man. Shout out Jeff Sims.
Had a great one game this year.
He played multiple, did he?
Yeah, but the one game he balled out in. He like
that one game went nuts.
He like 290 yards rushing.
Crazy.
We need to give Jeff Sims a big congratulations.
He made it.
Had a really solid career.
He really did. 3 different schools.
As much as people don't want to.
Are we sure he's not coming back?
His freshman year was 2019, I believe. No, it was 2020. It was 2020 because that was the year that dude, I was so hyped. That was the year that he and Jameer were in the backfield. You're like, this could be lethal. And you obviously had Jordan Mason as well. And, it is what it is. Okay, so let's talk now about, we kind of round out the show, guy who's under the most pressure to perform, who has the most to prove. And we kind of hinted at John Mateer here, but Will, I'll go back to you on this. Who's a guy that you feel like it's kind of put up or shut up? There's several candidates for this, and there's several candidates that I think are at the top of the list in terms of their God-given talent. Maybe just haven't realized it or made good on it yet.
I'm not going to take the obvious guy. I'll let one of y'all talk about the obvious guy. I'm going with the guy that I ranked number 3, Marcel Reed. I still really like Marcel Reed. Had a good year last year. Again, Texas A&M falling apart at the end of the season, getting essentially shut out at home. Couldn't score a touchdown at home in the first round of the playoffs after losing to Texas. I had him number 1 in my Heisman rankings for a lot of the year, but maybe I should do more research because he really feasted on like bottom 70 defenses in the country. Whenever he played a top 50 defense, he really struggled. And that showed the last 2 games of the year for Texas A&M. A&M's got to get over the hump at some point. And, Marcel Reed, a dynamic talent, a really, really good quarterback. Now is the time. And it's got to be on his shoulders. There's no excuses from him at this point. Going into 2026, if Texas A&M is going to do anything ever, I don't see why now wouldn't be the time. And I think if they don't, you got to – it's so hard to tell, though, because A&M does this every year. They get out-coached at the end of the year. So, I was going to really go out there and say it's going to be on Marcel Reed, but we'll have to wait and see how it plays out. But yeah, he's got to be better. He's got to be better against top defenses. You're going to play him week in, week out in the SEC. And you got to win games in November. So for me, this is big time legacy year for Marcel Reed, especially after the way last year ended.
Well, and I think too, when you look at it, Will, there's a lot of quarterbacks that fall under this category of they've been good, but they probably haven't delivered. And that's the expectation, right? You're being paid at a very high level now to be a quarterback in the SEC and in college football. You are commanding an offense of a program that has a lot of money, and you've got to be able to deliver on those. And, I think it might be the fact that there's just a bad taste left in the mouth of fans who watched A&M, right? The last 2 games, they did really nothing offensively. And you kind of just saw like, hey, the kid's really talented. Like, you can't fluke what he has done at the college level. that second half against South Carolina, the first half was non-existent. That second half of South Carolina was nuts. And they had some good defensive players in that group. So it's just one of those things, I think, to your point, Marcel Reed, super talented, has been pretty good, just hasn't lived up to elite. And are we pushing that standard up pretty high? Yeah, but it's Texas A&M, and they spin like they believe they should be amongst the elite in college football. Ralph, I don't know where you're going with the next one, but I'm going to go, and I'll let you pivot here. For me, with the pressure of being able to perform, I know, and Zach just commented a name. It's not the name I'm going with.
That's the one I'm going with.
Okay, perfect.
I mean, I said I wasn't going to go with the obvious.
Yeah, I'm not going with that one. I'm going back to Lenore Sellers because I've watched this guy in person twice. I guess his first full year starting where, yes, they should have beaten LSU, right? They should have beaten LSU 2 years ago in Columbia. He comes to the Tiger Stadium last year, and they just weren't very good. Like they had lost so much. South Carolina was the team entering 2025 with the most guys off that roster that made NFL practice squads or rosters off the previous one. If that doesn't make sense, I understand why, because it was a word salad. But essentially, that 2024 version was littered with NFL-type talent that they were able to get on rosters the next year. So they lost a lot. He never really had the established run game that I think they wanted when they brought in Faison. So it's one of those things where, look, for Lenore Sellers, it has never been about the talent and the ability that he has, right? I mean, Will, I know this is going to make you throw up because guys do this with every single 6'5", 6'6" quarterback who's 230 to between 230 and 250. Coming out of high school, they're like, this kid looks like Cam Newton, like the way that he plays in the tape, just because he can run past people, he can run through people, and that kind of thing. The thing with Lenore Sellers, though, is how consistent are things going to be around him? He's on his third different OC in 3 years. The offensive line wasn't great last year. They've got to hone in the run game. Nick Harbor has to deliver on some of the EA talent that they give him year in, year out. Shout out, Gavin. But it's one of those things where I think for Lenore Sellers, maybe we could all sit here and say, hey, if he just pops off and has like a 5,000 total yard type year, it might not surprise anybody. Now, does South Carolina win more than 8 or 9 games? Probably not. But if the guy just goes crazy and nuts, we're probably like, yeah, that makes sense. We were just waiting on it to happen. It hasn't really happened yet. It hasn't come close to happening yet. So I think for Lenoris, it's about delivering on the potential, delivering on the hype. And look, South Carolina paid a pretty penny to keep him. So that's part of this thing too, where Shane Beamer, and although I don't think he should be truly fired because I think South Carolina needs to be real about who they are, they have tied up a lot of funds, monetary, financially, however you want to look at it, to what this group is this year. And they got to deliver. So I think the pressure is on Lenore Sellers to deliver. And two, this is a guy who at the beginning of the year was considered to be like maybe a top 10 pick. And just it hasn't really, the development hasn't happened like I think people thought it would in terms of his ability to throw the football with conviction. He was banged up a little bit this year and just never really got off the ground. So, for me, it's Lenore Sellers. I think that he could deliver. He could be unreal. And it wouldn't surprise a lot of people. It just hasn't happened yet. So, Ralph, who you got?
Yeah, I'm going with Arch. I think that's the obvious one. I think there was so much hype going into last year that this kid was going to be the next, the next Peyton Manning, next Eli Manning because of his name. I think it got to his head a little bit early on in the year. You go into Ohio State playing one of the best teams from last year, obviously the reigning national champions and all the talent they have on that defense, and you just kind of missed out. I mean, we didn't see what we wanted to see out of you all year for first half of the season, really, kind of until that Arkansas game, because they played right before the week started. They played Georgia, and you go on the road to Georgia. It's never easy, no matter who you are at quarterback, and he struggled. And after that, kind of like flip the switch. Obviously, you get Arkansas at home that week, and then you go play A&M, who was headed to Atlanta for the SEC championship game and top 3 seeded team in the country, and you knock them off having one of your better performances all year. Just kind of keeping the ball, close, and not having many turnovers. And then you play Michigan in the bowl game and you turn it up. I think going into next year, that's something I'm really excited for Arch. I hope he kind of, keeps that pace going. We all want high hopes for this kid because there's so much hype's been thrown out there for him, what he can do, what we can see, and I think we started to see it toward the end of the year last year, and his confidence kind of get back there, and hopefully he brings that into this year with some new additions at running back and receiver for him. So hopefully that helps him out, and offensive line bolts up a little bit, and they kind of help him out with a system, and maybe he hasn't had to run as much. I mean, he's a great running quarterback. Don't get me wrong, but I'd like to see what he can do with his arms sometimes.
I want to ask this because we got a couple more minutes. You mentioned the pressure cooker for him. Is it safe to say that he has everything he needs at his disposal now? Like the comments about, I mean, we knew like Texas's offensive line was not as good as it had been the previous year. They lost Kelvin Banks, lost another guy on the offensive line. They've had a chance to bolster it. You bring in Cam Coleman, like they've got some guys that they can help with. They're kind of rebranding that running back room as well. If it's not going to happen now, will it ever? And I hate to put the pressure on the kid because I think, one, I want to say this. People like to try to clown Arch for what happened last year. He didn't really ask for any of that. Like this, the whole name thing and this ordeal, like it's obviously he wasn't ready, and he's just like any other quarterback. A lot of people brought in the conversation of his high school comp that he played, which I can tell you firsthand was not good. Like they people seen the videos, and I've watched teams like that play. Sorry, but it's just not very good. I'll go back to you on this, Will. Like, is it now or never this year for Arch to kind of do it? And I know that's accelerating the timeline, but it comes with the territory of being the name, being QB1 for Texas.
Yeah, it might just be now or never at Texas, but not now or never for him in his football career. I think with him, with almost every other young quarterback, it's about processing and the speed of the game. I mean, like you said, his high school competition was not very difficult, and then he jumps in the SEC where the game is played faster than anywhere but the NFL, with a lot of good players on the other team. He's got all the arm talent. He's mobile. He runs well. I mean, everything is there physically for him to do it. He's just got to get it between the ears and got to get that timing. Having Cam Coleman helps. I mean, this guy makes freak catches. Kind of became the only thing he did for Auburn down the stretch in 2025, just make incredible catches and fumble. But that'll help for sure. I mean, you just get it near him and he's going to get his hands on it. So it certainly helps, but it might just be now or never at Texas for Arch. I still think certainly a lot of potential there. A lot of potential. I mean, this – come the end of the year, we could be talking about him winning the Heisman Trophy and running away with it. I think that's how physically gifted he is, if he can get it all together between the years, which is a lot to ask on anybody, not just the newest Manning on the block.
I mean, Ralph, you kind of covered it pretty well, just like with what he has to do. I mean, he's got some of the tools. I think this team's better constructed this year than it was. And we'll see, obviously, on paper. It looks like it's better constructed.
It didn't help when you lost every running back you had last year.
That's true. That's
very true. Takes a lot of pressure off you when you have some running backs in the room and who can actually take the ball out of your hand every once in a while and make plays. And you got some good ones this year. So hopefully that helps him a little bit and gets a little more pressure off of him and lets that quarterback lets him breathe a little bit back there.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. Last question. Wasn't going to ask this, so I'm putting you on the spot. What is apparently in Austin saying YouTube is broken right now? I guess we can't get. I don't know what the deal is. What are like the thoughts on Gunnar Stockton?
He's the best quarterback in the SEC, and I really don't think it's close. He can make every throw. He runs well. He's tough. For me, he's number one. And he backed it up on the field in 2025. I think his toughness really gives him an edge. Obviously very smart. Certainly helps that he's got people aren't going to like this. The best offensive coordinator, the best play caller in the SEC, in Mike Bobo, that sets him up, puts him in great position to make plays, and he's got great playmakers around him. But he's not just a point guard, right? I think that's what separates him from previous Georgia quarterbacks, namely Stetson Bennett, who was great and picked his spots when he ran and was really good too. But I think Gunnar, a little bit more is asked of him, and I think he stepped up. But it just shows how difficult this game is and how hard it is to win 12 games, 13 games, 14 games, and be a national champion. But for me, Gunnar Stockton is the best in the SEC.
And you had him ranked 1, too, or number 1 as well. So that backs what you're saying. I think and Austin points out a good comment here. The throw against Tennessee on 4th and 6 ended all game manager talks. Yes. That was an unbelievable throw in the corner of the end zone to London Humphreys, I believe, if I'm not wrong, Austin. So, Ralph, before I come to you on this, I think the thing with Gunnar is people automatically say, well, he's a veteran, but he didn't really play, right? He played the second half of the SEC title game against Texas and just played well, and then played against Notre Dame, who had NFL talent all over the place and was just a better team, like just a better team than Georgia. And that was his first start. So I think it's one of those things where you go into this past year. One thing I've noticed, in my 3 weeks of being in and around the Georgia program and just talking with people around it is like, it's one of the big things for Gunnar Stockton. It's just like, okay, it's year 2. And a lot of times we talk about like the year 2 comfortability. We talked about it with a couple of guys. You don't know what you don't know. And so when you're playing against Alabama for the first time, you can't simulate that. You can't simulate certain situations. And I think we catch a lot of heat because we talk about maybe uncertainties with players and teams we don't know, but it's very hard to simulate situations like that in practice and fall camp and all these different types of things. You can only do that and go so far. So now that you have a year under your belt, to your point, and Will, I do agree with you about Mike Bobo. I don't think I'm really high. I really like Lane Kiffin. So I will say that. But to Mike Bobo's point, a lot of people complain about the screen passes. Well, play to your personnel, right? Like Noah Thomas went down early in the year, was kind of banged up. They obviously had the other big guy, the receiver out there on the outside. They got hurt there from the transfer from Miami. So what do you have? You have Zachariah Branch.
Just give him the ball.
Yeah, you just give Zachariah Branch the ball. Like you just get him the ball and let him work. So what makes Georgia's offense good is I think the fact that they don't have to have a top 5 pick at quarterback. Now, do fans want that? Sure. But it's about making the right decisions. And for the most part, Gunnar Stockton did that. He played well. And Zach says game manager. Y'all know how I feel about the term game manager. I think it's not the same as it was 10 years ago talking about guys. Like, we have to understand, like, you have to be able to manage the flow and the ebbs of the game, like the highs and the lows. And I think he did that. And to your point, before I get to you, Ralph, what you said, Will, it shows how hard the game is when we're doubting someone or we're pinning down miscues in championship games and in playoff games, because the margins of error are so thin in those situations to where the slightest mistake gets you ridiculed and it loses the game. And Georgia struggled in that one, right? Like, and there's no doubt about it. So I guess, Ralph, what's your thoughts? I don't have Gunnar number 1. I'm enamored with Trinidad Chambliss, so I think he's unreal. But I guess just your thoughts on Gunnar Stockton entering 2026. We really didn't. I don't know. We touched on him the whole show, so I just wanted to get your thoughts on him and what you think about him going into year 2 in that system.
Yeah, I mean, I would have had Gunnar at 1 if Chambliss wasn't coming back, honestly. But I mean, if it's fourth quarter and we need a drive to go put us in field goal range, I'm giving Gunnar Stockton the ball. It's a guy who's going to make the play for me. He's going to make the play, the gritty play. He's going to go out there and take a hit. He's going to go out there and lower his shoulder, get the first down, do everything he can. And Georgia fans I think sometimes overlook that. Yeah, he's not the flashy, throw for 4,000 yards, 50 touchdown kind of guy, but he's going to win you the game. He's going to make the right read. He's not going to turn the ball over very much, and he's going to fight. That's one guy that's just, you want, taking the snaps is Gunnar Stockton, because I feel like he has been one of the best quarterbacks, last year, really, that kind of went under the radar.
It's not flashy.
The stats aren't there. I mean, obviously, the only those were like almost 3,000 yards and almost 30 touchdowns and 5 interceptions and runs for 10 more touchdowns. Yeah, it's not flashy, but it's solid. And it's a guy, and I think there's a lot of schools out there who would really appreciate having that guy in the backfield right now. But yeah, I don't understand the hate for Stockton. And there's a lot of people who don't like him, obviously, because they're not fans of Georgia. Or I know some Georgia fans who are tired of watching the Gunnar Stockton play. It's crazy.
Don't get Will started.
We call that spoiled.
Look. I mean, I know for a fact Will is a fan of Stockton. He hasn't been one for a reason. There's no, and Will would love for him to be wearing that logo right now in Auburn. And he
could have been.
He should have been.
When Stockton was recruited, Bobo was the OC. Harsin was the head coach?
Correct.
God, would you take Harsin as your head coach if you had Bobo as the OC?
No.
That's
we saw how that worked out.
Brian Harsin. That's the number that Brian Harsin did on Auburn fans. Right?
We saw how that worked out.
All right. Before we get out of here, let's get to our pick of the evening. It is Tuesday, February 17th, but this pick is for for Wednesday. We will be live tomorrow night, by the way, talking ACC quarterbacks. So, Will, your best pick of the night for tomorrow night. This is on Wednesday, February 18th, and Will is rolling and rocking with the Tennessee Volunteers. Will, Oklahoma on a 2-game win streak, by the way, back-to-back ranked wins for them. Gavin throws up your 2026 record for FanDuel picks. 0-1. That's okay, though. That's okay.
He's not the only one.
That's fine. Yeah, I haven't made a pick yet. Maybe we should each make a pick each night, and we should do it like that.
Making us
to be able to do that. Tennessee minus 11.5 at home. Okay.
Yeah, I think Tennessee's very good. I think this is one of Rick Barnes's best teams that he's had. Probably top 3, not the best, but one of them. Oklahoma, prior to this 2-game stretch, has been really, really bad. Really, they are one of the worst teams in the SEC. I think Tennessee at home. Tennessee's very good at home. This is a regular season game. That's very important. Regular season Rick Barnes. His teams come to play in the regular season. It's a lot of points, but I'm taking it. This is one of those don't overthink it picks for me.
Yeah.
Tennessee good, Oklahoma bad. Tennessee at home. I'll take Tennessee to cover 11.5.
Will trying to get on the board for the first time this year. We appreciate you tuning in. Make sure that you like, subscribe, and as I mentioned, as always, FanDuel presenting sponsor all year long for us. That is Ralph Leary, Gavin Hart in the background, and Will Manis. My name is Bryce Kuhn. We'll be live tomorrow night, 8:30 Eastern, 7:30 Central. ACC quarterbacks. Will and I have got to take out the pen and the paper and figure out how to do this. Ralph, enjoy what you have going on because it is going to be a doozy tomorrow night with trying to figure this out. So we appreciate everyone. Thanks for watching another episode of The Crowded Booth.
Pile in here and make yourself feel at home. The Crowded Booth is coming on. The Crowded Booth with